guys, Naz here on the Spooling Up channel. Back in the MK2 Fiesta XR2 today. If you can remember from the last video, if you watched it, the last update on the Fiesta, I was having a look at the carburetor. It was in quite a bad way, and the mechanical side of things on it, they were a little bit stiff. It was really dirty, and it would just have been in too much of a bad state to put on the car. So over the past few days, week, whatever, I've been cleaning it. It's now in quite good condition, so before the end of this video, that's definitely going to go on. I've got my 6mm fuel hose to go from the fuel pump to the carburetor, and I've also got the last few bits to put on the inlet manifold, bits of vacuum and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be doing that, and then hopefully there will be a few other bits that I'll come across that I'm going to have to do as well. Gearbox oil's got to go in, but I'm waiting for a pump to pump it into the gearbox because I can't just pour it in from the engine bay. So I'm waiting for that to come. Hopefully that comes before I finish filming all of this, but I'm going to go ahead, guys, and show you what's going on and the next few bits to be done now. Back taking another look at the inlet manifold. Had all these connections to put on the rear of it. Here's the vacuum sensor and so on and so forth, but I was missing one thing for this hose here at the hole here at the back, and I actually went on to the Facebook page for Mark 1 and Mark 2 Fiestas, and I asked the question. I just put the photo up there, asked the question. Someone came back to me and said, you're missing the brake pipe servo hose. So I've now got that. It's just quick rummage around in a box inside, so I've got that. I'm going to be fitting that. It obviously goes from the inlet manifold to the servo here, so I've got that. Just going to give that a quick freshen up, put that on, do my fuel hose, last few bits to the carb, and then that's going to go on. So it's crunch time. Right, guys, here we have the servo hose that goes from the inlet manifold to the brake servo. So literally nice and simple. This just going to go in here. Just going to do it nice and loose for now. Swing that over, plug that in there to the seal. Might need a little bit of lubing. No, there we go, it's in there nicely. And then literally tighten this side up, and there we have that as well now. So once I've tightened all these connections up, I do have new paper gaskets, which I got in my Burton Power set for the carburetor. That will go on, my fuel hose will go on, and then I'm going to have a good, hard, long think about what else I need to do before I try and crank this over. Okay, guys, so I've got these vacuums to plug in here as well. Didn't want to forget about those, and they're just going to go straight onto the manifold here at the back. Obviously got to connect up the other side as well, so just going to go ahead, hope that these slip on nicely. There we go, lovely. So I was a little bit unsure about where this vacuum goes, and I've had a look on it. It says carb, so until I've put the carb on, this is going to remain disconnected. I thought it was going to go to something else, but because obviously I haven't touched this car or taken it apart, I don't know where everything goes, so I'm having to work things out. So this goes to the carb, cool, no problem. I'll hook that up after I get the bad boy sitting on there. So I was just having a look in this Haynes manual that I've got, and it clears up what I was saying about that vacuum there. And so carb, distributor, so on and so forth. I'm going to give things a good read through because I want to make sure that I get them right. Also, just going to give you guys a quick glimpse at the carb. Obviously it's really complicated having a flip through this. There's loads of stuff to it. There's an exploded view of the assembly of the carburetor somewhere, but here we go. There's just, you know, there's so many parts to it. I'd love to be able to take it apart and put it back together. Maybe that's something for the future, but it's definitely a job for a skilled person who knows what they're doing, and that's not me. Here we have it. This is one of the main things that's been worrying me about putting this car back together. if there's a problem with this, I've got no chance in diagnosing it. I mean, I'll try my best. The closest I've been to a carburetor before or doing anything with it was on like an old motorbike, and that was pretty simple. This I know is going to be a lot more difficult. Anyway, this is a 2832 TLDM Weber carb, or some people know it as the later XR2s have got the round top and the earlier ones have got the square top. I'm pretty sure that's correct. So yeah, man, just gonna go ahead, do a few little last bits on this. I mean, I tried to make sure that everything underneath and all the mechanics of it was all nice and functional, because obviously I don't want to have trouble with it when it goes to putting it on. I want to just do this once and do it properly. So a few little more bits to this. Obviously I've cleaned the whole thing with carb cleaner. I'm just going to clean inside a little bit more, sort out the gaskets, make sure that this is nice and flush. It is actually already, because they're paper gaskets and they're really thin, you've literally got no room for error in terms of having any leftover gasket or any bits of grit and dirt on this. Of course, on the plate that goes in between the gaskets as well, and on the inlet manifold. So literally need this to be spanking, and then we're going to go and put it on. So the next things here that I'm turning my attention to are this sandwich plate that goes in between the carb and the inlet manifold, and the paper gaskets that are going to go on either side of it. I've cleaned this up the best I can. It is really smooth, although it does look like it's got marks on it. You can't feel anything at all. Like I said earlier, there's not a lot of room for error with this because of these paper gaskets, but I'm literally going to put them either side of this, and then I'm going to put this onto the inlet manifold, and then I'll be putting the carburetor down on top and doing all my little bolts up so that they're sandwiched on there nice and tight. So let's go for it then. It's come to the time to get this back on. Right, there we go. Sitting there on the car now. Just time to get these bolts through each hole. Get everything lined up. They should drop through a little bit more. And then obviously if I had an air filter, I'll be putting the base plate of the air filter on now, and these sort of hooks on these bolts will be holding it down. But because the air filter is another thing that I didn't get back from the person who stripped the car, I'm gonna have to do without it for now and buy another one. I had a K&N. They're not that cheap, they're not that expensive. I think they're about £80, £85. You can still get them from Burton Power and so on and so forth. Loads of people still sell them. So I will be picking one of those up, but there's no point in even putting that on if this if the car's not even starting. So it's bit by bit now. Once it starts and things like that, I've got tons of other things to do anyway. I've just remembered I've got to do up all the rocker cover bolts. Anyway, even though the car won't be running for long at all because there's no coolant in it, I just want to see if it sparks. I've still got to take the spark plugs out and even make sure that I've got sparks at them, making sure the coil works and everything else. The list is endless, but we're going to soldier through it, see how much I can get done today. I can't even believe I'm forgetting one of the most important things. This is the fuel hose that's going to go from the pump to the carb. So I'm going to cut a piece of it now. Got to use a hacksaw for this because it's reinforced and it's really strong. So I'm going to cut a piece of that off with a hacksaw, join it from the pump to the carb, and then crack on with the other tasks that I've left myself with for today. So as embarrassing as it is, I've just realised that I'm actually going to need an 8mm hose to go from pump to carb. I don't know why I thought it was 6mm, considering the feed to the pump's 8. Why would it have a 6mm coming out feeding to the carburetor? It's going to be 8 as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this hose to replace this old return, and I'm going to go ahead and order a larger one for the flow to the carb. Yeah, a little bit of a setback, but no problem, man. I've been working on this car for years, so a couple more days is not a problem. To make the most of the mistake that I have made over the last week or so when I ordered this hose, I've now got a new 6mm return, which I'm happy about because I should have been replacing that anyway, all fueling stuff. Just got to wait for that 8mm hose now to come. Hopefully that comes soon and I can just do it like within the next couple of days maybe or so. But just to quickly say, I'm glad that I'm changing this anyway, because it looks ugly. It's got paint on it, and the ends of it are becoming a little bit worn, so I'm glad that that's going to be replaced, even though it means I can't try and start the car today because I won't be able to get any fuel into the car. But it's alright, you know, I've waited so long. Little things like this are going to happen along the way. It's the first sort of mistake I've made with ordering something, but it's a minor thing, you know, so we'll move on from there anyway. I'll take the plugs out now and clean them up. Let's have a quick look. Spark plugs removed from cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4. Having a look at them, they've all got their own little unique story to tell. The last 3 very badly sooted, but this one's the worst. It's completely black, and this car had been off the road for several years before I bought it, and it was probably in need of a tune-up then anyway. So obviously ignition timing and just in terms of the carburetor itself as well. So I'm going to give these a clean up. The car will be tuned anyway before it goes on the road, but just wanted to show you guys what had happened with these. They were in brand new, the car was never driven, it was only started here and there. So I'm going to clean them up and put them back in, and it will be interesting to see what happens to these once the car's been running for a little while. But none of the gaps look extremely out. They all look pretty similar to each other, so I'm not going to go too mad with everything at the minute. Obviously if I get problems I'll start checking the finer little things, but while I was literally stripping these out, Amazon man came, delivered my pump that I'm going to use to get gearbox oil into the gearbox. So that's another thing that I can smash out today if I want. Right guys, so here are the spark plugs again now after cleaning. This was cylinder 4, which was the worst, most sootiest black one. It's all now nice and shiny. Cylinder 3, 2 and 1 are exactly the same. I've actually just done a little test a second ago, just checked that each lead was working. I used the same plug in each lead and just made sure that it was sparking. But what I need to do is I could go along and test all the spark plugs in all the leads to make sure that each cylinder is definitely going to get a spark. So I'm going to do that, but at least I know now that the coil and distributor and everything's actually working. Whether the ignition timing's out, I would probably say it's really likely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the plugs in the HT leads, check that they're all sparking for each cylinder, then I'm going to put them back in. I've got to wait for that fuel hose, and then just literally decide what I'm going to do next from there. Okay, so quick update. I tested each individual spark plug and HT lead down here. I've put all the spark plugs back in now, so everything here is sweet, man. I know my ignition system's good. Also, I've created a big mess down here, but I've got my torque wrench out, and I've torqued up the spark plugs. I was never ever taught to torque everything up. There were a lot of things that when I was learning how to do bits and bobs of mechanics, you just sort of did things up by feel or nipped it up and then gave it another little bit of a turn, that's it. But I've gone around everything I've put on recently, the inlet manifold, the carburetor mounting bolts, exhaust manifold, spark plugs, just to do them up to the right torque, just so that that's another thing that I know has been done properly. So I can't sort of blame that for anything. I know that everything's done up tight to the specified torque. So yeah, gonna go ahead now and put oil into the gearbox. Just to be 100% clear on things, guys, this rocker cover's not going to be staying like this. It's going to be getting sprayed. I'm going to go for black. I bought all the sandpaper for it, everything for prep. I bought primer, I bought the gloss black paint, and I also bought lacquer. But I decided in the end what I'm going to do, get the car running and everything, and then this is going to be something I'm going to pay someone to spray professionally, man. I might give it a go in a few weeks, because I also want to change the cork rocker cover gasket for a rubber one. So we'll see what happens. But I've bought a new set. They're not genuine, but a new set of bolts and washers to go around the rocker cover as well, because a lot of them are missing and these ones look, they're not in the best condition, and I don't actually think that all of them are genuine anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But yeah, this won't be staying like this. I may give it a go, but not just yet. Obviously need good weather because I'm going to be spraying outdoors as well. But yeah guys, I just thought I'd let you know that because it's looking tatty and horrible. Time to go for the gearbox oil top up now. Got my 85/90 gear oil here, my pump which I'm going to be using to pump the oil into the gearbox, and these hex head tools here so that I can undo the plug for the gearbox oil. These can also be used for normal drain plugs on cars as well. They're not all take a socket. Sometimes you actually need a male tool to get inside it and pull it out, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm hearing that they're normally seized, but I'll go ahead and give it the best shot. Right, so here's the plug where I'm gonna be filling from the front of the gearbox, and I've got an 8mm hex head piece here. I'm just gonna use that. I've got a 20mm socket that's gonna go on this and a ratchet, and I'm literally just gonna crack it off. I'll show you from another angle. So this is from the underside, and this is the filler plug. So should be pretty simple. Hoping it's not on there way too tight, and then yeah, just fill it up until the oil starts flowing back out. Don't know how many litres it takes exactly, but it's designed to be filled up to that plug, so it's all good. Right, so here we go. Here's the plug, and here's the washer that I'm going to be replacing. So what I'm going to do now is quickly show you out, and it's pretty dry, but I'm going to get the pump in there now and start pumping the oil in. Okay, so that's the filler plug back in. Says the gearbox oil capacity is 3.5 litres for a 5-speed, but I've only ended up putting about 2 litres in, so there still must have been some residual in the gearbox, because I don't actually think that letting the drive shaft out is obviously going to drain the whole thing. But we're full now, so just tidy up around the plug with a bit of brake cleaner. Right, so today's another day. I'm still waiting for the 8mm fuel hose. I think that's due to come tomorrow, but I do have my rocker cover bolts and washers to put on now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Actually, here they are. Right, so I was just having a little debate with myself as to which way these washers go. Now, I've seen some of them like this, but I feel like when they're faced this way, it matches the curve of the rocker cover a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and put these ones this way, and I'm going to work it out sort of to see what way it looks like it fits better. Like I said, some people have got them in all kind of different directions, but I'm going to go for that way. So this is a 210 piece washer set that I just bought, just so I can put washers on the bolts and then put it through the rocker cover like so, so that it's not the bolt directly grinding on the big washer that actually holds down the rocker cover. That is every last nut, bolt and washer all the way around the rocker cover, ready to be tightened down. Of course, starting from the middle, I'm working my way out to the edges. I'm going to check the specified torque for this and do that as well, and then once that's done, I'm literally waiting for the fuel hose, like I keep saying, and then it will be go time. Right, so that's the rocker cover on there securely now. Everything torqued up. I think it was 8 foot-pounds of torque for it. Just gone around and gave the gasket a good inspection to make sure that it was squashed down nicely everywhere and evenly spread. Obviously, before I put it on and put the rocker cover on, it was all checked and clean and everything was looking good, so that's that done. It's roasting hot today. Just got to wait for a few more bits to come. Unfortunately, today's my last day off, so the video's already taken me about 4 or 5 days to get this far, so I'm gonna have to wait another couple of days. It's now Thursday, but I don't think I can get back on the car until next week, Monday or Tuesday, so I'm gonna leave it for a little while. But when I come back, I should have everything else I need, and I'll start looking at other bits and bobs. Right guys, back on the Fiesta today. The 8mm fuel hose has come. It's here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a piece of it, probably around this length, and then get it fitted. And then I might even renew the feed to the pump. If you can remember, I put in the fuel filter down here, but I might renew this hose anyway, seeing as I've got brand new, and having a meter's worth means that I've got some spare, so I might go ahead and do that. But for now, I'm going to cut a piece. So that's it now. Got the 8mm feed from the pump to the carb on. I guess it's go time really. Next thing to do, see if I can fire it up. Right guys, so I just tried to start the car off camera because I didn't want to sit here cranking it for ages and filming it, and it didn't start. I found out I was getting no fuel up to the carb, so what I did was I quickly took the return off, blanked it off with my finger and sucked through this hose. Then I got fuel up, plugged it on whilst I was still holding that, so it didn't allow it to fall back down. Connected this hose back up, and now on the button, it's a runner. Right, so there you have it guys. The XR2 is now running. I didn't think it would be that easy. The car's been sat for years. The engine's been out and it's been put back in partially for years. And I mean, all it's taken, forget what I've put on that was missing. All it's really taken is a little bit of fettling here and there, a little bit of renewing things that I just wanted to renew to better the chance of the car starting. You know, it may not have even needed to have loads of those things done, but here we go, it's running. Don't get me wrong, it's still a million miles off being finished, but it's a million miles closer to being finished than it was a few months ago, and even before I started this channel, and so on and so forth. So yeah, leaps and bounds of progress. I've got to give myself a pat on the back for that, because I didn't really see it happening that easy. I have worked hard. Any day that I've had off work, I've been on the car. I'd love to recap over this video, over what I've done, but it's been about 2 weeks since I started recording the first set of clips for this. You know, trying to balance it over work and stuff. Next things will be the exhaust. I'll have to sort that out and get that on, and the cooling system. And then once I've done those two, I can leave the car running for a little bit longer. It also needs a cam belt, guys. It's looking a little bit perished. You know, I didn't even really want to start the car until it had been done, but I'm not going to worry about that too much at the minute, because the car's not going to get driven or anything like that. I've also got loads of stuff to put back in the engine bay. It's unreal. And then the interior, so on and so forth. The list is absolutely endless, but I'm proud of myself for doing this, for getting it running now. Not going to give a whole sob story on, you know, why it's taken so long. If you want to see that, then you can watch the first video I did on the Fiesta. But yeah, man, I can't believe it. So that's it for now anyway, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video. There'll be plenty more exciting stuff coming with the Golf 2, I promise, and maybe a few little bits on the BM. Need some bodywork done on that. So yeah, man, I'm gonna keep you guys posted on what's going on. Thanks for coming, thanks for subscribing, thanks for liking, and thanks for commenting.